oh, this person has daddy money, oh, she got a sugar daddy, she slept around for gigs, she's an escort. I've had everything.
Wow.
And I'm like, if I have daddy's money, I wouldn't be working this hard. Okay? If my daddy was rich, do you think I'll be doing this?
Yeah. Hi, welcome to another episode of The Real Deal. Today I'm hanging out with someone who has a million titles, okay? And none of them, I think, fully captures everything that she does. So some people will say content creator, cosplayer, model, business owner, entrepreneur, all sorts of things. But today I'm hanging out with Rurusama. Welcome to the show.
Hello!
Welcome.
Hi, Chad.
Yes, Chad. Well, Ruru, you had a long journey, right? A lot of people have heard about how you started off, which is actually at a Korean artist management company. So please tell me about that.
I just graduated from Polytechnic.
Okay.
So I was debating between my scholarship to go to uni or I was gonna become a superstar. And I was like, I'm becoming a superstar.
Yeah.
If it fails, then I'm gonna go back and be a data scientist. But the dilemma was when I was offered a scholarship to stay in Japan because I was studying in Japan for a year. They offered me to basically be a student lecturer for the middle school while I was doing my uni. And I was like, hell nah, I'm not being a teacher. And bye-bye. So I was like, I'm going back to Singapore. So I came back to Singapore and that was when it was offered. I guess I was going to make cosplay a career at that point, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. But being in the agency also did help me concretely sit in the position of wanting to be a social media person.
So back then, I think that was less common in Singapore to have these Korean artists management things come in and train people. What was life like? Because there's all these stories about how intense it is, right?
It is intense. You work basically like 14 to 16 hours a day.
Wow.
I mean, there are a lot of things that they make you do, like figure out what looks good on you. I know exactly which height of heels will make my legs look the longest and the nicest. And like what kind of shape of heel will make my legs look the straightest or like the longest.
Wow.
So it's like you figure stuff like this out to optimize your character.
But what is the actual process of them helping you to figure it out? Do they put like 10,000 clothes in front of you? And
Exactly.
Really?
This is like 1,000 like choices in front of your face that you simply cannot do it without someone's help or like without someone's opinion. And it was a tough time only because it's so mentally exhausting because you're constantly being picked up for like who you are, how you look. I know a lot of girls in this industry have like eating problems or like food hating problems, but luckily I'm a self-loving queen. So I was just very objective. I knew what I wanted at that point, and I was desperate enough to be able to fit in that mold. It's like right now, if you ask me, okay, what sort of content will go viral, I could probably tell you like 5 on top of my head. It's because I have a whole Excel sheet about it. Last time, I would like take out all of the Instagram pages that I think like would be great for me as a competitor. It's like, okay, this person is more popular than me. We did the same video, why does hers do better? Or like, why does his do better? Even though it's the same exact idea. So we'll hyper-analyze everything.
Wow.
I think that list has at least 5,000 or if not 6,000 profiles on it.
Wow. I hope someone hacks your computer one day and then like, finds out who's on the list.
A lot of people are on that list, really. Yeah. I was like, this is a job, right? So I think that helped with not taking it personally.
So you leave this artist management company, you already had a base of followers. So what is it about anime specifically that made you want to focus on that as your scene?
I think it's childhood. Like, I mean, I watched Doraemon. I mean, it's not a good example, but I always say Doraemon is my ideal man, okay? Yeah. He has everything, he has all the problems, he's a little bit short king, but I accept. I don't care about looks. He's intelligent, he's nice, and he's a cat. Like, what's there not to like, right? And then my ex-boyfriend told me to try cosplaying with him. And it was like a fun weekend hobby that like we can do together. And then with all of this combined, I didn't actually choose cosplay to be like the main niche. It just some sort of like happened.
It's just what ended up working for you.
Yes, correct.
And then at some point, it started to, really involve some pretty big sums of money. There was one convention where, in other conversations, you were telling people that you spent between 30 to 60,000 on the booths, the merch, the staff costs. I mean, to be honest, right? Can I ask where that money even comes from? How are you able to afford that kind of
in the
amount?
first place?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's actually a very good question. So right from the start, I was very lucky enough to gain a following quicker than I expected. What cosplayers do to make money is by selling merchandise. And what cosplayers will do at conventions is they will print out their works, right? Okay, I cosplay your favorite character, for example, like Spider-Man, and I take a photos of it and I print it out, and some people like it, they will buy it to support you, right? So that's actually how I made like the first amount of money. And then there's also stuff like Patreon where you can support artists, where I will do digitals or like photos or like content, but it's like a paid content. Not anything suspicious, just cosplay. Okay, so back to your question about this 30K sum and where the hell I get it. It was a long time later from when I first started working, right? So it was like 2019 I started. And the first booth that I did was 2022, right? It took me this amount of year to save up for this. And I decided this was a good idea. Guys, don't do it. Don't do it.
Not worth it.
It is worth it, but like only if you are planning to make zero money back.
Yeah. So I wanted to put something to you, right, and see how you feel about this. There are many cosplayers in Singapore, many. There are many female cosplayers in Singapore, and yet I think you have become one of the most prominent ones, right? So what do you think it is that you had? What is the special sauce that Ruru had that helped you to essentially grow bigger than the rest of them?
If you really want to talk about followers or stuff like this, I think you have to be able to be willing to do what others are not willing to do. For example, if you're not willing to make 7 to 8 videos a day, you can't expect yourself to fight someone who does that on a regular, right? I'm trying to get to 1 million followers. I'm hustling. I'm willing to put in that work. I'm willing to research. I'm willing to give up my whole day to do this.
Yeah.
I think that these people, I wouldn't be upset if they get the success. And I feel like the hard work part is what people cannot grasp that.
They assume that you're just lucky or it's just very easy.
It's the easy way to actually digest, actually, is that, oh, this person has daddy money, oh, she got a sugar daddy, she slept around for gigs. I have heard all of that. Or like she's a sex worker, she's an escort. I've heard everything.
Wow.
And all this, to me, does not affect me as a core, as a person, because first, I know I didn't do it. And second, if I have daddy's money, I wouldn't be working this hard. Okay? If my daddy was rich, do you think I'll be doing this?
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Get you.
Yeah.
So much of your work is online, right? Similar to how like a business owner, for example, their storefront would be the shop, right? Your storefront, so much of it is your pages, right? Social media pages. What are some of the difficulties over the past few years that you have faced as an online creator?
I would like to say that I'm a positive person and that I have a great team and friend support system that actually really help me go through all this thing. It's like when negative news come out, people are fighting for me. I will also take it as like people will never have the full context of your life as well. So the difficult part of it could be, people talking shit about my parents and saying that like they never teach me or stuff like that. Now they never teach her how to like act online or like be a normal person or whatever.
So are you saying that for you, the most upsetting comments have to do with when they talk about other people, not about you?
Correct. I don't mind if people talk about me because I put myself in this position. It does affect me if I'm having a bad day. For example, okay, my period's coming and I feel unappreciative of my body right now. I hate it. Yeah. It's bloated. I feel unsexy and everything. And someone says that, man, you look fat.
It's like proof, right? That you're right.
Yeah, then I'm like, who are you to tell me this thing? Who are you? Right? Like, don't tell me this to my face.
Yeah.
But again, it's like this kind of thoughts only happens when I'm having a bad mood. Yeah. Right? But over time, it does help. I feel like the first wave is when you first started, like when you're a baby in the industry, everything will get to you.
So that brings me to the question of, as an online personality, I think there's always a balance between needing to stay accessible to your followers, right? You need to communicate with them, you need to make them feel as if you're interacting with them, versus this, right? Sometimes you interact and then you just feel like terrible because some interactions are terrible. So how do you find that balance?
I think for me, I'll read the comments in the first 15 minutes. If the comments are reciprocatable, like good, then I just don't read it anymore. Yeah, not because I'm scared of what's coming, but more like I've taken my positive dose. I don't need more. Now, in my current hate space, I would just say that I don't really care about it, mostly because I know that I'm working on myself. And I think this is the most powerful thing, that going to the gym and and like working out has given me is that I've taken the control of my own body, so no one can tell me that I have not done anything for it.
If you could talk to the people who are, for whatever reason, commenting nasty things on yours and other people's posts, truly, genuinely, what would you say to them?
I think what people don't realize about people who write bad comments is that most probably they are having a bad day. It's about mental state again. And some people find it fun to be a hater. But knowing that your words have consequences is a much easier approach.
So when it comes to the digital space, how do people step back from that?
I think not using the device is definitely number one. But of course it's difficult. But I think there are a lot of other things like filtering keywords on Instagram. And for example, you can put uninterested in certain content. The moment you see the content, you can click uninterested and they'll be suggested much lesser to you. If not, it'll be gone because I've tried it a few times. And then on top of that is also muting people that you don't want to hear.
What about reporting and blocking?
I think when people leave hate comments and you don't want them to ever appear on your feed, you can just block them lah.
Ruru, I think many people have heard about this part in your journey, right, which was honestly pretty scary. People were stalking you. They were coming to not only your place, at that time it was your family's place, right? So can you tell me what happened?
So when I moved into a new house, it was like a really quiet neighborhood, and one of the days I just suddenly received a DM of this guy taking a photo of my front door. And it's like, are you home alone?
Not your condo, but the front door of your unit.
Yes.
Wow.
And I was like, who the hell is this? That is so scary. How does this person know that I was home alone and I was home alone? He was like, I saw your roommate got out of the house. You're definitely alone now. I was like, what is this?
Wow.
This is peak stalker. I mean, like, of course, as a girl, you feel very scared.
I think that it's fair to say that the stalking and all the weird stuff that happened it was probably an extension of what people did online first, right? So it always starts with, okay, maybe some weird comments, maybe stalking your page, and then it goes further and further into finding out where you live, finding out about your family, doing all these weird things, right? So knowing that it starts off online first, nowadays, what kind of practical steps do you take to protect yourself online?
So I've never posted any Instagram stories on the same day unless it's to promote something on the spot. It's like, even if you're staying in a hotel, you try not to post the hotel, you post your trip. Don't post your hotel until you leave. That's usually what people will do.
You know, there are quite a few viewers of this channel who can be very young. So now, you having had the experience that you have, you've gone through it, what will you tell them in terms of how to keep themselves safe?
If you're very young, you should turn on parental control.
Oh.
I think that having an adult supervise on what you can make or like what you upload definitely helps. If you're below 15, I would suggest getting an adult to vet because you don't know what sort of predators there are online. But again, it's like, sometimes you just want to like brain rot and like scroll through social media, and that's fine.
The point is understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something, right?
No.
In your entire career so far, because it's been many years, right? And you've had a whole journey, has there been anything that you've done that you regretted later on, you wish you hadn't done it?
I don't call it a regret because a lot of them like me for who I am as a person and the new content that I'm putting out. And I think I'm sexy, so whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, like all these things that are part of your, entire portfolio, right? I think it's very, very interesting that you are so comfortable with doing them and you don't regret it. You don't say, oh, that was me last time. I don't want to, I don't recognize her anymore. Like, you're completely okay. Is that how you always felt, or?
I feel like you have to be a certain level of comfort with yourself in order to put yourself like this online.
Did you always have that, or how did you develop that?
First, I have two loving parents. I would give them credit for that. Like, they've never ever put me in a situation where I have to shut off the things that I like. So during dinner time, they only ask me stuff like, how was this, how was that? And it was nice because they're interested in my life. All of these shaped me as a person that I feel like it's okay to just be myself. Yeah, and I wish that people love me for who I am, and therefore I show them as much as possible the realest and the rawest part of who I am core as a person.
Yeah, so because you have two sides of you, right? There's the entertainer side, so you're very creative, you can be loud, you can perform for people. And then there's a side of you that maybe it comes from your data scientist background, like the IT side, right? Where you like to analyze, you can see the logic, the numbers behind things. So my question is, when you are the product, right? Frankly speaking, you are what is being sold. How do you draw the line between the parts of you that you are okay to market and make into a product and the parts of you that you want to keep very, very private so you still feel like a human being?
So I used to not have that line, and I think that Ruru is the ideal version of me. And she is someone that I hope that I will eventually be closer to be at. Like someone who is like so fearless to say whatever the hell she wants, so open-minded, so defensive when needs to, and like not afraid to stand her point, right? I am like this in real life too, I think. But there are some things that are just muted out.
Is there something that happened that caused this mindset shift for you?
For content-wise, to learn how to not make everything content is actually just about being present. That could also be the reason why I say that, oh, I'm not as motivated as I was. I'm contented, right? So like, a lot of people who are hustling will tell you that contentment is actually the thief of success. Because when you're too contented, you will not be able to work as hard as you need to. Because desperation creates motivation. To circle back into this conversation is that, so being contented actually is the reason why I feel less motivated. Yeah. And therefore, it gives me the space to actually be present. Because I actually want to be present.
Right. I want to talk about your current career path because I think it's really wonderful how you've transitioned into all the things that you're doing now. It's so interesting. So firstly, can you please tell me more about Goddess Mode Club? What exactly do you guys do?
So Goddess Mode Club is actually a women-centric like community that I really wanted to start. And it's targeting more like younger girls who want to make friends or just want to hang out once a while and do things that maybe they probably wouldn't. Like, for example, we did some community events with Red Cross, and we just volunteered and we hanged out with elderlies, and we ended up doing karaoke. Why? With the elderlies. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it did happen. And I think that I would like to be the one who initiate a possibility for you to try something that maybe you have thought of, but like you just have no reason to go. So one of the guys that I spoke to at Goddess Mode Club, of course, Goddess Mode Club is like mostly for women, but for the one I did with Red Cross, it's like all genders are fine. And there was this guy who was like, man, I thought it was really cool that you did this because I've always wanted to try volunteering, but I don't know how to, or I just like never found a reason like to go myself lah, because I didn't want to go myself. So that gave him a reason to do volunteer work for the first time. I was like, man, this is exactly my mission. You got it. So I was actually really excited. I said that that's really nice of you to say that.
How do you think you, Ruru, are today? The person that you are today, how do you think it's different from the Ruru that started off at the very beginning of your career?
Man, I feel like I'm the same person.
Cannot be, you've gone through so much.
Maybe you would say the experience part of it is like, oh, nothing really phases me anymore unless there's something surprising that I never thought that I would be able to see. But I feel I'm the same person. This is why, right? You can't change the core of who you are so quickly, in my opinion. I feel I'm just like that.
Yeah. You know, I think from everything that you shared today that one of the biggest changes that I've heard from you is how you've learned how to protect your peace lah. What advice would you give to anyone watching who is struggling to understand how to find that peace for themselves?
If you keep dwelling on the same problem, you know you are the problem. Like, just say, man, Shaq, GG, man. Oh my God, what do I do? And then actually figure out how to do. So it is about learning how to put out the fire in a correct and a sane manner. And I think it's okay to crash out, but just know that after the crash out, you cannot keep crashing out. You need to move on.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you for all the advice and thank you for coming down. You know, from what you were saying, it sounds like you had maybe a bit of a hard few weeks before coming down. So we want to give you a small gift to thank you for doing this. Wow. Is it still accurate that you love blue roses?
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Oh, this made my day. You think girls are so easy? Who said girls was difficult, right?
Yes.
Just remember their favorite flowers and then they'll be happy for a long time.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruru, for sharing all your thoughts today. Enjoy the flowers.
Thank you. It's going to my bus.